thing if you choose an Orange County CDL truck rental for your driving test purposes. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and go over the air brake section of test, which consists of 5 different tests, and we're going to add the parking and service brake on at the end. First test is going to be applied leakage test, then you're going to do low pressure, then spring brake, cut out, cut in, and then you're going to do your parking and parking service. So to begin this test, we're going to pull up to a DMV. We're going to have fully charged air tanks usually when we pull up. We're going to go inside, check you in. When we come back out, the examiner is going to either say, hey, let me check your lights, or they're going to go ahead and hop in and ask you a question, where do you want to begin, or they're going to ask you outside. Just got to kind of roll with the punches. Every examiner is always different. So let's say that they check your lights, and we will, before we go inside check you in, we will make sure your air tanks are below a certain PSI. So we like to make sure that they're at least below 120. We like to get it to 110. So let's say they check your lights. They're going to left signal, right signal, 4 ways, both front and back. Then they're going to also check your brake lights in the back. Therefore, you lower your air pressure again. Okay. They're going to hop in. They're going to say, okay, they might give you a little spiel what they're looking for, how many points you need to get. There is form testing now, so they might be asking you a certain form that you're going to be taking. And then just got to kind of roll with it again. And then once I say you may begin or it's your test, off you go. It's all yours. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to tell them, hey, I'm going to perform a safe start. First thing on a safe start is making sure your seatbelt is on, which mine is on. Okay, we're going to come over here to the transmission, make sure we're in neutral. Come to the parking brakes, make sure they're both pulled. Even if they already are, we're going to make sure, just to make sure. We're going to mention the dash lights that come on the dash. So first thing we're going to do is take the key. We're going to turn it 1 click. We're going to mention the lights. We're going to say them out loud. ABS, check engine, oil, water, parking brake. ABS is the most important one. However, notice how that one and the check engine light go off. That's why I say those first. So check ABS, check engine, oil, water, parking brake. After that, you're going to fire it up. Okay, the only reason we do a safe start is to fill up our tanks. So if you want to give it throttle, you can, or you can kind of sit there and wait for it. It's up to you. I'm going to go ahead and give it a little throttle. So all we're doing is watching those needles rise. We're not doing a test or nothing like that. All we're doing is safe start to fill up our air tanks just like we would in the morning. Okay, we're at 120 psi. So really quick while it's rising, let me go over the gauges really quick. This is 0. The first one is 20, 30, 40, 50 is bold, 60 is top of the red, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, 120, 130, 140, 150. All the 50s are bold, except for this little guy right here. Well, that's still 50s, but 0, the first one is 20. Okay, there's a 20 jump right there. After that, it becomes 10s. Everyone after that. So 0, 20, 30, 40, 50. Okay, so our needles have stopped moving. Okay, you can take your foot off the gas and turn the truck off. Okay, after it's full, turn the truck off. Alright, so this is where we begin the air brake test. That first one is just a point on this safe start, which is part of the in-cab inspection. But we had to fill up the tank, so we might as well do that safe start at the very beginning. So now that we have fully charged air tanks, what we're going to do is we're going to tell them, hey, I'm going to perform my applied leakage test. I cannot leak no more than 4 psi. Okay, and what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and take the transmission. You're going to push it straight forward into second. You're going to let your hand slide off, and you're going to push in both of those knobs. You're putting in second gear so the truck does not roll away when you take the brakes off. So take the transmission, just push it straight forward to the cigarette lighter. Let your hand slide off, push in the truck, push in the trailer. It doesn't matter the order, just as long as you push both of them in. Waiting for the hissing to stop. It's very faint. And you're waiting for the needles to settle. And they're still kind of barely moving. There's no rush to go to the next one. Okay. What we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and take our foot brake. We're going to push it all the way down. Take it, push it all the way to the floor. Okay. Now we're going to tell them, okay, primary gauge is at 105. Secondary is also at 105. I'm going to go ahead and start my timer. Come over here to the timer and just push start. Now, you don't have to stay focused on that. You can just be watching the gauges. It will beep at you when it's done. You're just watching the gauges, 105. Keep that foot on there all the way, because if you let off at all or push it just down a little bit more, you're going to lose some PSI. So make sure that foot is all the way down. So this is that boring 1 minute, but also stressful because your foot's nice and pushing down on that hard brake. Some people kind of put their foot behind for a little bit of leverage. Some just kind of put their hand down. Whatever you might have to do to keep that all the way down. Make sure it does not move. Okay, we've got 20 seconds left. Again, you don't have to focus on it. It will beep at you. Just kind of keep that in mind. 10. Now, when you're doing the air brake test too as well, you don't always have to say both of the gauges. As long as you stick to one of the gauges, that's perfectly fine. Okay, there's our timer. Go ahead and turn it off. Come over here. Primary still at 105. Secondary is at 105 as well. Test is good and complete. Okay, once you do that, you're going to come over here, take your foot off, take a deep breath, and relax. Okay, now, next test we're going to do is the low pressure warning device, and that should come on between 55 and 75 PSI. So in order to do that test, we have to do a setup for that one. What we're going to do is we're going to come over to the key. We're going to turn it one click to the on position, just for the lights to be on, not for the truck. One click, lights are now on. Now we can see the other light come on. So again, this is between 55 and 75 PSI. We're just looking for a little bit of a warning light right here. Okay. If the buzzer is going off, it's because there's no oil pressure. Sometimes it goes off on its own. But you'll see it when the spring brake pops, it will go off after that. So what we're going to do is keep pushing the brake pedal all the way down, all the way up until we see that light. So just pumping all the way down, all the way up, all the way down, all the way up. All the way down, there it is. Okay, it went away, so we're just give it one more pump. And it's staying on. Primary gauge is at 65 PSI. Secondary is at 70 PSI. Test is good and complete. Came on between 55 and 75 PSI. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do the spring brake, and that should come out between 20 and 45 PSI. So what that is when these guys pop out, that's how we know the spring brake comes on. So right now we don't see a notch back here on these guys, so therefore they're pushed in. Okay. What we're going to do is we're going to keep pushing the brake pedal until these guys pop out. So keep pumping. So between 20 and 45. All the way down, up. All the way down, all the way up. Notice how I'm not holding that, I'm just pushing all the way down, all the way up. I'm just watching those guys when they're going to pop. I'm not slowing down either when it gets slower. I'm keeping my pace the same. There it is. There's that buzzer as well. Okay, so here's a notch. So both of them have popped out, and they have popped out at 30 PSI primary, 31 secondary. Test is good and complete. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to do a governor cut out test, which cannot cut out no higher than 140 PSI. But in order to do that, we have to do a safe start to make sure the truck is safe to start. Again, seatbelt's already on. Bring the transmission back to neutral. That's the main reason we do a safe start. Making sure these guys are pulled out. If they're not pulled out, then you did not do that last test correctly. So it's kind of double checking it. You can always go back and fix yourself if you do screw up. So just keep that in mind. Keys on and fire it up. There's our ABS light, comes on and goes off just in case you forgot it the first time. Now you can go ahead and give it throttle, give it about 1300 RPM. And you're just going to sit here until it cuts out, when the needles stop moving. I'm going to go and pause the video. I'll bring it back when it's about 110, 120-ish. Okay, we're back. It's about 119. Again, we're just waiting for those needles to stop moving. That's a governor cut out, no higher than 140 PSI. So those needles, when they stop moving, all you're going to do is just tell them, my needles stop moving at, and then tell them the PSI. They need to hear the needles stop moving. Okay, that's how you know the governor cut out. Okay, there it is. They stop moving at 139 PSI. Both primary and secondary. Test is good and complete. It is going to settle back down to about 135, perfectly fine, but where did the needle stop moving? They stopped moving at 139, so that's the governor cutout. Okay. Now we're going to go ahead and roll right into the governor cut in test, which is no less than 100, which is very similar to the cutout, except for now they start to move. So we're going to tell them they started rising, started moving, started going back up, something like that, when the needles start to move back up. Now what you're going to do is you're going to push the brake pedal all the way down, all the way up. I can pretty much guarantee you every single time it's going to go ahead and cut in if you push it all the way down, all the way up. If you do a half pump by accident, you are going to have to wait between pumps about 15 seconds. Make sure it doesn't move, tell them it's not moving, and then pump it again. However, I recommend pushing it all the way down, all the way up one time. Do not hold this, not even for 2 seconds, okay? Because they can count that as a failure. So make sure it's just a pump. Ready? So we're going to push it all the way down, all the way up, okay? Now my needle's at 115. And my needles have started to rise, and my secondary is at 121, and it's not rising yet, but it will. There it goes, now that the primary caught up to it. Okay, so as long as one of those needles start to rise, that's perfectly fine. So 115 was our cut in because my needles started to rise. Test is good and complete. That completes your air brake test. However, we're going to go ahead and add in the parking and service brakes. So we're going to go ahead and check the truck parking brake and the trailer parking brakes. We're going to take the transmission, put it in second, and try and pull against them. It doesn't matter which one you do first. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the transmission, put it in second, and we're going to go ahead and test the truck parking brake first. I'm going to push in the trailer. Okay, and here we go. Try to pull against it. Hopefully we do not move. Wait till the RPM just drops a little bit, or you feel it struggle. Right there. Okay, we didn't move. Now I'm going to swap these. I'm going to pull this one out, push in the truck. Again, same thing. You might feel a little bit of movement because it is a trailer. And nothing. And we did move it, not a little bit, but we shook a little bit because the trailer's holding us. We're going to leave this guy in, and we're going to push this one in, and now we're going to test the service brake. We're still in second gear. I never took it out. So just leave it in second gear the whole time. Go ahead and move the truck forward and stop it with your foot. There you go. Test is good and complete. Now you're going to come over here. You're going to come to neutral. Doesn't matter if you're neutral first or parking brakes first. Pull the yellow one. Make sure the red one pops. Make sure neutral. Let go of the clutch. Okay, when you're done, you're going to say, okay, that completes my air brake test. I'm going to do my in-cab inspection test. Leave the truck on. You do not shut the truck off until you get out of the truck. So, if you guys have any questions, please send us an email. Orange County CDL Truck Rental at gmail.com. Okay, and hope to have wonderful results on your day of your practice and test. Again, study this as much as you can and verbalize everything out loud as much as you can. Thank you and have a wonderful day.